And we're live. Well, recording.
There we were live in the afternoon,
Live in
but
the
for a good
afternoon. Welcome,
reason.
everyone. Sometimes we need to be flexible in life. I am technically right now, not at this very moment, but when you are hearing this, getting on a plane to go see my sweet daughter in Arizona, which I'm sure Sally already explained to you. So we were recording this ahead of time so that way we can still show up for you and keep our commitment, but it's just in a little bit of a different format. So here we are.
Yes, this is not live, but it's live for us right now.
Yes, true. So there's still a live component to it.
Yes.
And today we are talking about why is living open important? And Shelly and I have been going back and forth and talking about this a little bit. And we wanted just to share why we think having an open mind is so important for creating a life in flow. What does having an open mind have to even do with living in flow, and how are those two things connected? So, Shelly, what are some initial thoughts for you on why that is so important?
Well, initially, when I think about being open, I just think about um, how I feel about even, let's just say, who's the president. I'm
Mhm.
open to hear someone else's side, and it doesn't anger me in any way if it doesn't coincide with how I feel.
Mhm.
I could have, I have daughters that have different opinions on different things, and I'm open to hearing both sides. And yet, it gives me the ability to hopefully show people the way I want to be treated. So if I'm
Mm.
open with them, they in turn are going to be open with me, that there isn't a right or wrong. It's just everyone has a difference of opinion.
Mhm.
And that's okay for me. Thank God that's okay for me. That's how I
Yeah.
live my life. And I don't need everyone to see things or feel the same way I do. So I think being open to other things besides that is how many things I can learn. You learn
Mhm.
so much when you're open, right? Just
Yeah,
to what's out
for
there
sure.
and other ways of doing things and the people you could meet and the things you learn in
Mhm.
the differences of opinions.
Yeah, that's
So,
so true. And the other thing that comes up for me when I think about this is when, let's say, your family was having political issues, like people not talking to certain people or whatever because it feels so contentious right now. And I have people in my family, I know of people who aren't talking to other family members of theirs or just kind of waiting till after the election or whatever. I find it interesting, and I heard someone talk about this yesterday too, and I couldn't agree more. She said, I think I'm so open minded and I'll listen to all sides. But then all of a sudden, someone says something and I get really triggered by it. And what I realized was maybe I'm not so open minded, because if I'm getting triggered by something, if it gets me all riled up and kind of getting on that crazy town train and moving down to crazy town, maybe that's something you need to look inward, like, well, why am I so triggered by this? Why am I so bothered by this? And what is in my control, and what can I even do about it? And how does being triggered by this thing help me in achieving flow in my life? And what it does is it makes you aware of the things that you still need to work through, which I love. Like, I love when
yeah.
I get triggered around something, because I'm like, oh, that's an area that I need to keep working in. Like, for me, jealousy is something that I have to work on in my relationship, and it's because of a long history of trust issues and stuff. So it's just something that I'm constantly in evolution with and in a relationship with, and trying to not let it have so much control over me. And so I just need to have an open mind around things and not be not get that triggered around certain things, and let things sit and just be for a minute and have an open mind, like it's going to be okay. I don't need to go to crazy town on this thing. But it's hard to be in flow when you're on that train and you're feeling pulled by things, or you don't have an open mind, or you can't just let information sit in front of you, and it can keep you from your path. Wouldn't you say that if
But
you're
the
in
point
crazy town,
is
it keeps
you're
you?
dealing, we'll take jealousy. I don't know how many, I mean, I'm taking women because I'm a woman, but there's a lot of women that we all struggle with a little bit of jealousy, regardless of what the situation is. The point
Mhm.
is, if you can be open enough to recognize that's something you need to work on. Whenever I've been jealous of someone or something, I try to um, figure out exactly why and what is it that I'm afraid of, or what is it that is about me that I don't feel, or that I feel less than. And I'm the one creating that, not the person. So if you kind of see who that person is or that thing is, it's really helpful because only I can change that. And that's another form of being open to seeing that you could be telling yourself this negative story that is so not true. And it's just funny. I was doing a facial earlier, and we were talking, and at one point, and I was telling her how adorable I thought she was. We were talking about her niece being really small, and that's a problem for her. And I said, why? I said, she's so cute. I said, it's just like you. You're like a doll. I mean, I just think you're darling. And so I always, when I'm around people like that, a lot of times I feel so big. I'm a size 10 foot. I'm, 5'8". And so I feel like this giant. I said, I would love to feel what that feels like to be petite like that. And she goes, and that's so far from the truth. When I look at you, I think, gosh, she's like a Barbie. She's got the cutest butt. And she's like giving me compliments. And sometimes, if you had that feedback or brave enough to conquer even telling that person or whatever, you could be that much closer or see how really wrong you are.
Mhm. Isn't that
So,
so funny? That's so
I mean,
true.
jealousy
And I
is just
love
one of
that you
those.
had that synchronistic moment just now, like, and synchronicities is such a big part of living in flow and having an open mind. And here we are just having an organic conversation around why open-mindedness is important. And you just had an experience today that is relevant and meaningful for our conversation right now, whether that's just for me to hear or, 100 people or 1,000 people out there in the world. And that's so beautiful. And I love that when you are where you are meant to be, doing what you're meant to be doing, you're on your path, you're in your flow, synchronicities happen. And when you have an open mind and you start to put yourself out there a little bit and say that thing and pursue that thing and follow your heart, crazy, wonderful moments come up. And it's just that reassurance that you are on your path. There's a way for you to flow in this life. And that's what those synchronicities, those meaningful moments when they come up, like just now, like that organic experience we just had, just now, is beautiful.
And I even still have it now. I just got a huge chill through my whole, I mean, if you could see the little goosies that they're just still, because that's so true, that connection, we can feel it, even though you're so far from me right now. You're at your house, I'm at my house, but it's still that strength and that energy between us is right here, right now. It's beautiful. And I
Well,
love
and
when that
and
kind of stuff
humans can
happens.
connect that way, isn't it? Think about these synchronistic moments when you're thinking of someone and then that person calls you. I mean, that is a synchronicity. That is a meaningful moment. That is us connecting to other people out there. And when we can do that, going back to everything we've been talking about this week, it all ties together. Your intuition, that knowingness, like truly believing that you are so much more than just a meat sack living,
Yes.
paying bills every day. It's
Yes.
like there's so much more to who we are and what we are capable of achieving in this life. And sometimes we're just oblivious to it. And these synchronicities happen and we just go, oh, that's a coincidence. Oh, that was weird. I was just thinking about you. Called. Yeah, what's up? What do you need? Or you do something or you get that email you've been waiting for. Oh, yeah, okay, whatever. And you don't see it as these beautiful moments of life trying to talk to you and have a conversation with you and work with you so that you can contribute in a meaningful, purposeful, beautiful way with your
Well,
life.
and opportunities that you could have passed up. I mean,
Mhm.
I think of when I had a friend call me and said, you can have your own business. You need to go to this sola place and you can have your own studio and run your own company, and you can be and do however you want and you don't have to answer to anyone. And so that sounded really great to me, but I was really scared. And I got in my car and I'm like, oh, am I going to really go and look at this place? And long story short, I just said, okay, God, if this is really what you want me to do, you need to show me some signs that this is what I need to do. So I went to the place. I really liked it. But then I needed, machinery, and I needed a steamer, and I needed this. And so I said, okay, God, open up the doors. If it show me some signs, because if not, I have no money to buy anything and to start my own business. And so I went and I found this machines. I got some of them on, they were on sale, but I didn't have the money for them. I went to work that day. I never make $800 in a day. And how much do you think it was for those machines? $800.
$800,
And
of
it was
course.
like, that was just the universe saying, look, here you go. It's right here. In one day, we just showed you. And it's just being open to saying, okay, I see these signs. I went and bought the machinery. And then
Right.
all these synchronicities kept happening.
Yes.
Doors
And
kept opening. And there were no walls in
mhm.
to say stop. It just kept opening, and then another way went in, and then another person came in, and then the person I needed to call me called me, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then one day I'm sitting in my room, Shelly Special Touch Skincare at a Sola. It can happen, and now this is how many years later,
Yes.
I don't know, I want to say almost 12 years later, it can
There you
happen.
go.
And it was
And
a
that's
happy decision.
exactly what life should feel like when you're in pursuit of a career that is in alignment with who you are and with your soul and with how you want to spend your time in the world and what it is that you want to contribute. It's like the world or the universe conspires for you. And like you said, one door, then the next door, then and the next door. And that's exactly how it was when I started the organization. One door, then the next door, synchronicity after just the right person in the right moment. And we strive and we are here to help people recognize those moments in their life. And sometimes you don't even notice them until you look back. In the moment when they're big synchronicities, we notice them like, wow, that was weird. I was just thinking about this and then that person emailed, or I was just hoping for this and then I won that lottery or whatever, right? Like crazy things. But it's the little synchronicities, the little doors, the one door here, the one door here. And you could have been afraid. You could have been like, ah, forget it. I'm not doing it. This is too much. It's too much work. I don't know what steps to take. I'm not sure if how am I going to get the money? You could have just went straight to like, this isn't possible. But instead
Or
you had this
stayed
open
safe.
mind. Yeah, you just said, let's just keep going down this road. Let's see what happens. And each little win propelled you to keep going. Where it was like, oh, that must be a sign. That why not? Why not look at it as a sign? You know what? Maybe it's not. Maybe it is just a random coincidence. And your life just is a series of random coincidences. And that's one way to look at life. But isn't it so much more fun to believe that the universe is there to work with you and that synchronicities are there to support you and guide you and that there
Yeah.
is flow in your life? It's just a happier way to show up. And when you can really start to see it in your life, it becomes real for you. It's magical. It feels like you are magical, doesn't it?
Yes, it really does. And I'm super grateful. And I'm so excited for our guest. Can you tell everybody about our guest this week and what's going to be
Yes. Oh, I
happening?
wish I have his book downstairs on my bookshelf. Dang it. I could show it. It's called Living in Flow. And he's a physicist. His name is Sky Nelson Isaacs. A year ago, I was having a pity party for myself in my closet and just writing about flow and talking to you about flow and trying to start our podcast last year. And, just having this, am I even doing the right thing? Talking about synchronicity. What am I even doing? Is this even real? Like, am I just making this word up and that people can live in flow? I turned on YouTube just to watch something because I'm by myself in my closet crying about who knows what, probably jealous about something. And I see this man living in flow on Matt Belair on this podcast I follow. And I start listening to him talking about living in flow. And he's a physicist. He's a really smart man talking about these concepts that are just bouncing around in my head that I've been trying to teach and trying to put out in the world and trying to learn more about, thinking I was a little bit nuts. And I went, wow, here's a really smart man who wrote a whole book a very sciencey book about living in flow and synchronicities, and how the synchronicities in our life help us to shape our flow. And so I reached out to him, and that's actually how I met Sarah, synchronicity. And here we are a year later, having Sarah on our show last week and Sky on the show tomorrow.
We
I
are
think
so
you're going to learn
blessed.
so much, Shelly, and it's going to be so great. I'm going to learn a lot too, and I think our listeners are as well. He's very academic, so it'll be our goal to like bring him down to like our like our flow 101, but he's really good at that too. I've watched talks of his. So he has such a way of just really connecting with the everyday person, the suburban mom out there, or a
Yay.
young adult trying to figure out their flow. So he's great. I'm really excited to have him on the show
Well,
tomorrow.
this was a great, great more
Yay.
afternoon for tomorrow. I want you to have a safe flight. No, I'll be thinking about you and Emmy, and so excited for your mom-daughter time.
Yes,
And
me too. Me too. Okay,
you
let's
deserve it.
take us out. Here's our final screen for all of you lovely viewers out there. If you go to settolove.com, you will find out more about what Shelly and I do and the groups that we have and the coaching that we have. And just there's ways to contact us there. And if you want to just send us an email directly and we will talk about your question on the show, we'll send you a cool Set to Love sticker. Email us at settolovepodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe, like, share this content. We're doing this because we love doing this. We love you. We're grateful for you to be a part of our show. We hope that you can flow for life and always stay set to love.
Woohoo!